Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Modesto, and happy Mother's Day to all of you who are mothers or send mothering energy out, because not everybody has given birth, but there's an awful lot of mothering that goes on that counts. So we're going to start out with song. Would you please stand? The words are up for us. The Lord is good to me.
The last Sunday.
The Lord is good to me, and so I thank the Lord for giving me the things I need, the sun, the rain, and the apple seed. The Lord is good to me. The Lord is good to me, and so I thank the Lord for giving me the things I need, the sun, the rain, and the apple seed. The Lord is good to me. One more time. The Lord is good to me, and so I thank the Lord for giving me the things I need, the sun, the rain, and the apple seed. The Lord is good to me. And next is I love myself so much. Myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. I love myself so much that I can love you so much, that you can love you so much, that you can start loving me. And then the last one for before announcements is Amazing Grace, sung to Peaceful Easy Feeling. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. I've got a peaceful, easy feeling. I know you won't let me down, 'cause I'm already standing on solid ground. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. I've got a peaceful, easy feeling. I know you won't let me down, 'cause I'm already standing on solid ground. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace has brought me safe thus far, and grace will bring me home. I've got a peaceful, 'cause I'm already standing on solid ground. Thank you. You can have a seat. Barbara's going to come up and tell us what's going on in Unity of Modesto.
We good here? No? Yes? Hello? Now you can hear me? Really? Okay, now you can hear me. Okay. This year's yard sale will be coming this weekend, May 19th and 20th, and we are already accepting donations in the fellowship hall. Sign-up sheets to volunteer are on the back table.
If anybody has any large items that need a pickup truck again, get with me after church today, and we can coordinate to try to make it run and pick things up.
Okay, yeah. As you all know, our Pastor Paul is retiring, and we can't let him go without a party. So this month, on May 28th, after his final Sunday service, we'll be having an Aloha Luau going away party. So break out your grass skirts and Hawaiian shirts and join us in sending Pastor Paul off with our love and blessings. Sign-up sheet for the party is on the back table. Prayer pilgrims. Our prayer pilgrims are trained prayer chaplains who are available during and after Sunday services to spend some time offering individual spiritual support and prayer. Additionally, prayer pilgrims will call you once a month to reach out to you. If they cannot reach you, they will leave a prayer message. This service is now available to any congregant or friends and family who would like to receive these prayer calls. If you have not been called and would like to receive a prayer call, there are prayer pilgrim request forms on the back table. Simply fill, I'm sorry, it's like Peter Piper, right? Anyway, request forms on the back table. Simply fill out the form and leave it in the basket on the back table to be added to the prayer pilgrim calls. Love in action. Thanks to all who have signed up to help this year. Our calendar is full. Thank you for all volunteering and keeping our activities going. Book lovers. We are still looking for a dedicated volunteer to take over the bookstore manager position. Also, we are in need of Sunday volunteers to work in the bookstore 1 weekend per month. Please see Lynn Roberts to learn more about these opportunities to serve. We've added a second Course in Miracles group midweek, so we'll still meet Sunday at 11:30 in the Unitine room. Also, we meet in the Fireside room on Wednesdays at 5:30. We always have a lively, loving chat, read the courses, and share life experiences. All are welcome, and it's lots of fun. Gift cards. We have a wide variety of gift cards available in the foyer. Please take a moment and see Jackie or Diana for a list of cards you can order. All cards give you full face value for your dollars, but also benefit our community. And that's it. Oh. Wait, Leah.
Just a reminder that we have a board meeting next week, and all are invited to join us. Particularly if you have input about if we're going to seek out to replace all. We have to chat later about that. So welcome, and it starts about 11:30.
Thank you. This is the time that we stand and join hands and sing the Lord's Prayer together. If you're new to our community and you're not a hand holder, you can just let people know that that doesn't work for you. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
You may be seated. Good morning, everybody. I have never driven it to church, but I have a little BMW Roadster two-seater convertible. And yesterday, and you know Marianne Kane. Marianne Kane was a member of this church for many years, just finished ministerial school and has been ordained. And there was a celebratory celebration going on at her church in Twainhart yesterday. So I went there with the top down, and I got a little red. And I got all the way up there, and I was the only person there. And then I took out my little Facebook invitation, and it's for next week. So, and then I posted, I am the only person at the church. Where are you? And so, anyhow, there you go. Yeah, it was a beautiful run, and it's a nice church, too. So they did well. So it was a test run. I know exactly where the church is, and I got a red face. So there you go. That's all that matters. I can get to the church on time. Absolutely. So, each month we have an affirmation, and you'll find that in your bulletin if you'll look on the left side at the bottom. Our affirmation this month is, my mind is free of resistance and open to new, exciting possibilities. And this is a really good affirmation. I wrote this one because you guys are going to get a new minister, and that's a whole new possibility, and you're going to open your mind to that. So that's why we have that for our affirmation. I wonder if we could say that together. Together, my mind is free of resistance and open to exciting new possibilities. Indeed it is. And today's daily word says this: I bless all mothers in my prayers. Nurturing and caring for another living being is a sacred activity. Today I take the opportunity to give thanks for all who have shared unconditional love and acceptance with me. A mother can be anyone who takes on a role of caring for a child, whether that person is a biological or adoptive parent, another relative, a teacher, or a friend. The most important aspect in being a mother is to love and care for a child unconditionally. Patience and compassion are mainstays for these expressions of love in action. Just as caring mothers hold loved ones in their arms, so too do I hold them in my prayers. And from the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 3, we read, honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise, so that it may be well with you and you may live long on this earth. And it is Mother's Day, so I want to take a moment and ask all of you who are mothers, stand up. Let's welcome and say, good job, moms. Good job. And all of you who have ever had mothers, join them. Stand up also. And now turn to someone and give them a hug. Just say, Happy Mother's Day regardless. There you go. One of the most embarrassing things that happened in my life, and one of the highlights of my life, is that as an individual, I've had 34 foster kids. And at one point in my life, all of those kids went together and they bought a billboard sign with my picture on it, and it said, Happy Mother's Day, Dad. And it was like, it was there for 30 days. I had to drive by it every day to work. So it was like awesome. So that was kind of fun. Okay, moving right along, let's turn over to our song group. So we'll get ready for meditation. What? Oh, the lights are weird. We blew a fuse. We may have.
Come into the silence, rest for a while, release all the cares of your day. Come into the silence, quiet your mind. Spirit has something to say. If you will trust the Lord to guide you, trust the Lord beside you, be not afraid to let go. Spirit will befriend you. Spirit is within you. Spirit is love, you know. Come into the silence, quiet your mind, release all the cares of your day. Come into the silence, rest for a while. Spirit has something to say. Spirit has something to say.
It's now the time we set aside to turn within, and just invite you to do that. Just sit in your chair and relax. Put both your feet on the ground and set aside anything that you might be holding, and just relax. Just take a moment and take in a deep breath and hold it for a moment and then release. Breathe in, hold it, and then release. And as you breathe in, know that you breathe in God. And as you release love. And then breathe in love and release God. And as you do, you are reminded that God and love and you are all one. That you were made in the image and likeness of God. And on this earth, you were put here to be the hands and feet of the divine. So just relax. Breathe in and breathe out and relax. This month we're talking about success, and I wonder if for just a moment with your eyes closed you'll get a visual picture of what that means for you. What is success? How do you see it? Because this month our goal is that by the end of the month we will have visualized success. And we will have discovered tools that help us to achieve that for our lives. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's personal or professional or financial or whatever it might be. This month we're focusing on that word success. And in order to do that, we need to have a vision about what that looks like. Last week we did some writing around the word success for ourselves, and we began to develop a direction. And this morning I want to refine that a little more, and I want us to really get a clear image. I want us to see ourselves in that role of success. Whatever it looks like, see it in your mind's eye. See yourself labeled with success. And this isn't someone else's label, this is your label. What do you perceive to be success? See that for your life and your situation. See yourself successful. You know, the scripture does tell us that we're made in the image and likeness of God. And Paul wrote that it's the Christ in you, your hope of glory. And we know that when we combine those elements of truth, nothing stops us from success except ourselves. So we set aside whatever appeared to be a stumbling block. We move around or over or under whatever seems to be in the way of our success. We set it aside. And we move towards this truth. This truth about why we're here. This truth about what that success looks like for us. So sit now silently for just a few moments and grasp that picture of you and success. Let us pray. Mother, Father God, with you all things are possible. We know that. We've experienced it. We've lived it. We've seen miracles. We've heard of miracles. And we know that whatever we set in our heart and our mind, if it's good, it will come. Help us to keep a mental frame that allows us to have success. And then, God, we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for the blessings that we've had and the blessings we've yet to receive. And so it is. Amen. And now, as you feel ready to do so, come back to this room and this place and this time. Well, I don't even know what to say. Say it. What are you going to say, huh? Because I was getting ready to talk. Oh, okay. So today's lesson is called Transform Yourself for Success. And we are looking at that. We're looking at this idea this month about success. And what I've taken is a quote from Thomas Edison, and I think it's a marvelous quote, and I threatened you that I'll use it probably every single week. And the quote is this: if we did all the things we are capable of doing, we would literally astound ourselves. If we did everything we were capable of. I shared a quote last week, and like I said, you'll probably hear it every single week because I think it sets the tone for our theme this month, this idea of getting that success through the power that lies within us, the truth that rests within us. Because that truth, that spirit, is as close as our hands and our feet. And we may not have fully utilized all of our potential, but that power, the power of the divine is within us, which is what Paul wrote about when he said it's the Christ in you that's your hope of glory. You know, some time ago, you may have read this in the paper, some time ago, some archaeologists discovered a seed, and they thought that it was probably thousands of years old, and it was dried up and shriveled up, and there it lay, and they were interested and became experimentalists, and they took that seed, and they, even though it was dried and withered and looked like it was dead, if you will, they planted it, and they watered it, and they nurtured it with sunlight, and the strangest thing happened. What happened is it started to grow, and it took root, and it sprouted. Because lying in that seed, no matter what it looked like, lying in that seed dormant for millennia was the truth and the power of life itself. It had not gone away. And it was ready to spring forth into manifestation when it was just given the right nurturing and the right nourishment and the right opportunity to spring forth. And that truth is inherent in each of us too. Who we are as a child of a loving God is such that whatever it is within us that is lying dormant, that should be made manifest, can be made manifest if in fact we allow ourselves to cultivate that power within us. And then we really do what Edison said. We really do become amazing creatures. So we've labeled this idea of success, and last week I asked you to define success, and we actually created a whole laundry list of those terms for the congregation. What does success mean? And I labeled off some ideas that I had about it, and now what I want you to do is hopefully you had a week to sort of think about this, and I want you to think about, once again, what is success? What does it look like to you? And if you have something you want to share, shout it out. What is success? What does that mean for you? What does that mean? Living in the moment. Feeling joyful and happy is success, yes. Not being afraid of change. Being authentically yourself. What else? What about career-wise? Is success part of career? It can be. For some people, certainly it can be. You know? What about financial success? Is that a possibility? Maybe. Yes. Maybe. You know, they say that we are financial and spiritual and physical and emotional beings, and success can be made manifest in any of those four ways. So whatever it is, it's personal. I often quote Meister Eckhart, who was a German mystic in the late 1200s, and he said this, he said, the seed is in us. Given an intellect and hardworking farmer, it will thrive and grow up to God whose seed it is, and accordingly its fruits will be God-natured. The seed is within us. And if we cultivate it, if we take care of it, we'll in fact allow ourselves to be that hard-working farmer that he speaks of. We can allow the seeds that God has implanted in us to come into fruition, which reminds me of a story about a traveling salesman who was going through the countryside, and he comes upon this farm that was absolutely beautiful, and he stops to chat with the farmer who was sitting on his front porch rocking and chewing on a piece of straw. And the salesman said, "You have a magnificent farm here. One of the most magnificent farms I've ever seen, and that's what I do for a career, is visit farms." And he said, "You know what? God's done a really amazing job here." To which the old farmer snorted a little bit, and he said, "Yeah, I suppose so, but you should have seen what a mess it was when God had it all by himself." And that's the truth. Because the truth is, we are the hands and feet of the divine. Things don't come into fruition if it isn't for us and our commitment. That's why we say that God needs us to shine the God light on the experiences that we and other people have. We need to roll up our sleeves and do something. We need to make it happen. Motivational philosopher Jim Rohn said it perfectly when he said, "You can't hire someone else to do your push-ups." And the truth is, you can't. And as you're doing your spiritual work, nobody else can do it but you. And nobody else can make manifest in your life the success that is designed for you. You have to do it. No one else can do your push-ups. Other people can give you a roadmap. Other people can tell you their experience in achieving success. And that's what we're trying to do this month, using Jack Canfield's book, The Principles of Success, and how to get from where you are to where you want to be. That's the book that we've recommended that you read. And in fact, there's a rumor that maybe after I've gone in the end of May, the congregation will do a little book study around that, because it's a fabulous book. But at any rate, that's what we want for ourselves and for you. Last week, we laid the groundwork for this and put a foundation out there by saying there were two principles we were going to live on. One of them is that we're 100% responsible for our lives. And the other one was that we have to be clear about why we're here. What is our purpose? And we did some exercises around that to try to build in our minds and in our awareness what our purpose is to be here. Today we're going to look at this idea that I've already mentioned as our topic for the day, which is transforming yourself for success. Psychologist William James said this. He said, "The greatest revolution of our generation is the discovery that human beings, by changing the inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives." The understanding that when we change the way we think, we change the way our lives go. Charles Fillmore, in his book Talks on Truth, said it this way: "The law of life is revealed to the mind of man through conscious thinking. Give attention to the omnipresence, intelligence, and it will make you wise. The light which lighteth every man coming into the world is here as the atmosphere is here. The light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness apprehended it not." Why? Because men do not realize the truth about spirit and its laws. Spirit is like mind. In fact, it is the highest realm of mind. There is an ever-present, all-knowing one. Put yourself into conscious unity with this presence through the power of your thought and your word, and you will gradually become mentally open to the world of causes of which you will never have dreamed. Allow your mind and understand your mind. I know this month the book has 64 success principles, and we're not able to get through all 64 of them in 1 month. But today I'm going to talk about one because I think it's so inherently important to our success, and it's such a basic principle of what we talk about at Unity. And it's, for him, success principle number 32. And it says this: transform your inner critic into an inner coach. Do you know that the average person has over 80,000 thoughts a day? And researchers say that of those 80,000 thoughts a day, 80% of them or more are negative thoughts. Thoughts like these: I shouldn't have said that. I don't think they like me. I'm never going to be able to pull this off. I don't like the way my hair looks today. I can't dance. I'll never dance. I'm always late. I'm never going to get this done. I feel so foolish. I shouldn't be here. My friends, thoughts like those 80,000 thoughts we have a day, 80% of them are thoughts like those. They're negative. And it doesn't matter what our specific words are, they begin to control us. They begin to control the direction of our lives. And they make us what happens to be our reality. And it doesn't matter what it is. When we get those kind of words, they take control of us, and they cause us to break out in a sweat, and they cause us to say, I'm so nervous. Or we get the jitters, or we blush, or we stammer, or we take on the extreme attitudes that we sometimes do. Canfield gives an example in his book, and it's not the first time I've read this, and you may have seen it too, but it's a true story about a young guy who works for the railroad. And he's an ambitious guy who wants to move forward. And on this particular day in the summer, the crew gets an hour off early to celebrate the foreman's birthday. And one of the last things he did every day is he'd go through and check all the rail cars to be sure their doors were shut. And he was accidentally locked into a refrigerator car that actually was a freezer. And he realized that he had been locked in and that he had been abandoned. Everybody else had left the work site. And he began to panic. And he banged on the door until his fists were bloody. No one heard him. And with his knowledge of the facts, he began to understand that the temperature of that car had to be 0. And his opportunity to be able to survive were very limited. And he thought, if I can't get out, I know I'm going to die. So apparently he wanted his wife and his family to know what he was going through, and he took his knife out of his pocket and he began to etch some words into the wooden floor. Things like, it's so cold my body is getting numb. And he also put in there, if I could just go to sleep to avoid this pain. And finally he put down, these may be my last words. And the next morning when the crew showed up at work, they opened the refrigerator car door, and there he was, dead. And they shipped him off to the morgue, and the autopsy revealed that he had died of every single thing that one would die of if one had frozen to death. The thing that's interesting about this true story is the refrigeration wasn't working properly in that car. And the scientists were able to determine that the lowest temperature it had reached all night was 55 degrees. Cold enough to be uncomfortable. but not cold enough to kill you. Nick had killed himself. He had decided what his fate would be and taken upon himself to allow himself to die. And it's so interesting that our minds have the power over our bodies, that when they did the autopsy revealed that every single thing that a body would reveal if it had frozen to death was present in his body. He willed himself to die. He gave himself permission to do that. And I would certainly hope that none of us ever go through that. That the power of our thoughts are so strong that it controls the truth about what our experience is. And we can take those thoughts and we can kill any idea we have of what success looks like. Whether it be our career or our spiritual journey or our relationship experience, we can take our thoughts and kill. We can take our thoughts and limit ourselves. We can allow ourselves to have unloving, unproductive thoughts. I want you to think about it this way. I want you to think about our thoughts as a form, maybe an ice cube tray. And you take this substance, which is called God's energy, and you're going to pour it into the ice cube tray. And when those are formed, the ice cubes will take what? What are they going to look like? Somebody tell me, what do they look like? The shape of the form, exactly. And you can do cute things. I mean, you can have icicles that or popsicles or whatever that look all kinds of different things. I want you to think about your thoughts that way. When you take the power of God's substance and you pour it into a form of negativity, what you're going to get is negativity. And if you take the power that is God thought and you pour it into a form that is positive, what you're going to get is positive. You control the form that you're pouring the God power into. That's up to you. And you then can't moan and complain when you get a finished product that doesn't look good. You get to decide what you want the shape of your life to look like. You get to decide whether or not you'll have success. When you pour water into that tray, it has no choice. It will take the form of the tray you've poured it into. When you take the power that is the divine and you pour it into a mold for your life that is positive, it has no choice but to reveal for your life positive. It's how it works. The founder of Self-Realization Fellowship said it this way. He wrote a book called Autobiography of a Yogi. Since you alone are responsible for your thoughts, only you can change them. And you will want to change them when you realize that each thought creates according to its own nature. Remember that the law works at all times and that you are always demonstrating according to the kind of thoughts that you habitually entertain. Therefore, start to think only those thoughts that will bring you health and happiness. Several months ago, we had a monthly affirmation, which was that I refuse to allow my yesterdays and todays to control my tomorrows. And that's what we're talking about. We're allowing ourselves to create our own mold for the future that we want. And we pour that energy that is God into that mold, and we get exactly what we want. So what if you learn to pour that God power into a mold of success? What if you could transform your negative self-talk into positive self-talk? What if you could silence your thoughts of lack and limitation and replace them with thoughts of unlimited possibility? What if you could replace any victim language in your thoughts with the language that was empowering? What if you could transform your inner critic who judges your every move into a supportive inner coach who would encourage you and give you confidence as you face every situation? Well, you can. It's up to you to decide. The question is, how? How do we make that happen? Well, psychiatrist Daniel Amen, which is A-M-E-N, believe it or not, he came up with a new look or a new thought. He said that there is these things that live in our life that he's labeled as ants. And he says an ant is an automatic negative thought. As we go through life, we have automatic negative thoughts. And that is that thought, my hair looks terrible, or I'm too fat, or I'm too ugly, or I shouldn't, or nobody likes me, and everybody hates me, and I'm going to eat some worms. All of that are automatic negative thoughts. And he says, we let them happen. But he also says you can stomp out those automatic negative thoughts. You can get rid of the ants in your life, and the first thing you have to do is become aware of them. And then challenge them. And then finally you replace them with some supportive and affirming thoughts. So here's what that looks like. First of all, you become aware of them. And by the way, there are all kinds of ants, lots of different species, and they'll show up in many different ways. They're automatic negative thoughts. And they'll show up at different times depending on the situation that you're in. But remember, 80% of our thoughts tend to be negative. So you'll have lots of ants. There will be no shortage. But here's some thoughts about what they might look like. Here's some clues that as you form your thinking and the words you're going to speak that you might look at. The first one is always never thinking. The second one is I never get a break. Another one might be she is always so rude. My boss never listens to me. I'm never going to get that raise. I'm always the one who gets the short end of the stick. Focusing on the negative in a situation. Catastrophic predicting. The sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Mind reading or making assumptions, which are usually negative assumptions, by the way. And labeling, either yourself or others. Do any of those sound familiar to anything that any of you have ever done? Not a one. Good. You need to be up here. Think about that. Only focusing on the negative. It's going to be horrible. The end of the world is coming. I know that she's thinking that I shouldn't have worn this dress. If I wore the dress, she probably would be thinking that. But at any rate, making these mind-reading assumptions, which are usually negative. I know what she's thinking. I know it because I know her so well. This mind-reading thing that we insist upon doing. And this idea of labeling ourselves, or others, by the way. She always, I never. Those are the self-labeling and other labeling things that we do that get in the way. Those are the ants. Those automatic negative thoughts. If any of them sounded familiar to you, you have a homework assignment. And the assignment is this. I want you to take 3 days. 2 of them will be the weekend. So you could start today, or you can do Saturday, Sunday till you get to church. And I want you to ask somebody, if there's somebody you trust, I want you to ask somebody to help you with this. And I want you to ask somebody to help you identify your automatic negative thoughts. And every time they hear you use one of those, they're to tell you, oh, that's an ant. Or kill that ant. Or get rid of that ant. Or whatever you're put together as a thing. And now, if you don't have somebody you trust, you have to do it for yourself. But I want you to keep a journal, if you will. I want you to sort of think about that. Maybe every night as you go to bed, you can sort of sum it up. I caught 32 ants today. Okay? And I want you to practice. I want you to get into the habit. And if you're here with somebody, you're great because you can go home and practice with each other. Okay? I want you to get the idea of what that looks like. Is it really true that the boss never listens to you? Is it really true that you never got a break? Is it really true that that person is always rude to you? If you can find even one counter thought to an automatic negative thought, you begin to take power over it. So when you have that mind-reading thing, you can stop yourself, identify that as an ant, and reword it or rework it. Is it really the worst thing that's ever happened to you your entire life? Is it really the end of the world? Is there a way that you can get rid of that idea, I'm sure if I ask for a raise, I won't get it? Maybe you can change that. I'm going to ask for a raise, and all they can do is say no. We tend to say, I know she hasn't called me back because she's mad at me. The truth is, something else might have happened, and maybe we can start to say to ourselves, well, maybe something else happened. Maybe it has nothing to do with me. What could some of those other reasons be? I want you to, this week, I really want you to take 3 days, and I want you to challenge those ants, challenge those assumptions. What is it that you think about yourself or you think about another person that's not true? Yesterday, when I ended up at the wrong place, well, I ended up at the right place on the wrong day, I posted on my Facebook page that I was there and nobody was there. Marianne responded, oh, I'm sorry, it's next week. And before she posted that, it dawned on me, because I took out my calendar, I said, oh, I'm here a week early. And then Marianne texted me, and I responded to her, an ant. I said, there's no excuse for stupid. I got in my car to leave the church, and I thought, oh my God, that was an ant. Now you're going to talk about this tomorrow, and you just did it yourself. I laughed, literally laughed, all the way driving down the hill from Twin Heart. Because it's so dumb that I'm walking around trying to tell you. So I want you to know nobody's perfect at this. And you're going to find yourself using these 80% of your thoughts are negative. You have to get rid of those thoughts. And you need to replace them with supportive, affirming thoughts. You need to get rid of that. And I want you to think about that affirmation that we used a couple of months ago, which was, I refuse to allow my yesterdays or todays to ruin my tomorrows. I'm in charge of my own destiny. I'm not going to let these pesky ants show up at my picnic called life and ruin it for me. There's another way to work on that, by the way, and it's called, you're going to love this, I invented it. It's called stop, drop, and roll. Sounds like a little plagiarism, and for an English teacher used to be, that's probably bad. But it is, okay? I want you to think about it. Stop right now, mid-thought, stop. Stop that thought. Say it out loud if you have to, stop. Look in the mirror and say, stop. I refuse to allow my yesterdays or todays to control my tomorrows. Stop it. And then you drop the thought intentionally. I am not going to think that. I am not going to say that. I am not going to say that I'm stupid because I have to talk about it tomorrow and I don't want to be guilty of that. Okay? Drop the thought. Get rid of it. And tell yourself, I'm forever dropping that thought from my process. I am never again going to think. And then conscientiously roll that thought into the exact opposite. If you're thinking, I'm never going to succeed in this, say, I'm so excited to see how I succeed in this. If an ant runs in and says, how are you possibly going to be successful doing that? You roll that into, I only need to know the what. God's got the why. Stop, drop, and roll that into a different thought. Roll that over into a positive thought. Begin to transform those 80% of your life of negative thinking into some positive. Imagine if you could drop from 80% of your thoughts are negative to 40% of your thoughts are negative. Your life's going to become pretty powerful. But imagine if you could drop 80% to 10%. What if you didn't have any ants show up in your life? What if you really did become such a good inner coach? What if you really did take this lesson to heart? What if you really did change your life? What would you look like? What would that look for? Imagine the transformation that you could have. When you do that, you would literally astound yourself. I want to end these words with a quote from Ernest Holmes, who wrote Creative Mind and Success. He said it this way: in the final analysis, we are just what we think ourselves to be. We are big in capacity if we think big thoughts. We are small if we think small. We will attract to ourselves what we think most about. We can learn to govern our own destiny when we learn to control our thoughts. This is so easy to understand and so plain as to use that we often wonder why we've been so long finding out this. The greatest truth of all ages. Believing, thinking what is believed to be true, thinking into mind each day that which is wished to be returned, eliminating negative thoughts, thinking positive thoughts, giving thanks to the Spirit of life, never arguing with oneself or with others. These are the steps which, when followed, will bring us to where we shall be, not have to ask if it's true, for having demonstrated, we'll know it. God bless you. Have a great week.
How do I say thank you for all the love you share? How do I say thank you when you show how much you care? My life is filled with joy because you gave to me. Our souls unite as one, so through your eyes I see. How do I say thank you for all the love you share? How do I say thank you when you show how much you care? The things that matter to you awaken in my heart a vision that is greater than I had at the start. How do I say thank you for all the love you share? How do I say thank you when you show how much you care? How do I say thank you? How do I say thank you? Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. So, anybody have any ants in their life? Sounds like there might be a few ants out there. Okay, it's now the time in our service that we share of our gifts and offerings. And in preparation for that, I invite you to join together as we say our offering statement. Together, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
Please join me in singing. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
I've never done this before. Like, you didn't even know I was there, did you?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, did you know I was there?
Dog told me.
Oh, where'd she go? She's acting. Oh, there she is. We're good. Let's pray. Mother, Father, God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this place. Thank you for these people and the opportunity that we have to grow and learn and become that which we were put here to be. God, we bless these gifts and each person who is given. It's our commitment that these funds will be used to further spread your truth. And so it is. Amen. Okay, let's begin to close out by standing up, and we're going to say together our prayer for protection. There we go. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Okay, so we're going to close with the peace song. If you're new and you don't know the words, put yourself somewhere in this circle we're about to form where you can see the words. So we're going to do a circle. Do we have a who? Yeah, we have enough to go around. Can we get the kids? Are the kids on their way? We have kids. So you have to stretch out. Big stretch, big stretch, big stretch. Okay, you guys got to go that way. Stretch. We're going to make a good circle. You watch. She doesn't know where I am. All right. You guys, there we go. Now we got a circle. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternal.